If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Why make choices in your life based on judgments instead of on your awareness of what would create the life and living you desire? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show. I am very excited to have you here, to have you listening, whether you're live or you're listening in the replay. I'm very, very grateful for the contribution. And if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to contact me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. So tonight we are talking about, are you willing to speak up? And, you know, this live show is being done the day after the presidential election in the United States, and a lot of people are finding that they're speaking up, and there's a lot of people speaking up in some interesting ways, but that's not actually what this show is about, although, you know, it could include that. So I'm very excited to be talking about this subject because it's time that we all started really taking responsibility in our lives, and using our voice in our own lives is essential. So before we get into tonight's show, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a possibilities coach. I love working with individuals to really have them move out of the limitations of their lives and to step into creating the possibilities. Did you know that coaches were actually hired by executives? And executives wanted to raise themselves up even higher with their goals and their targets in their businesses. And it wasn't that they were stuck necessarily, it was that they wanted to grow even greater in their lives. So if you're looking to grow greater in your life, whether it's your business, your relationships, anything, then you absolutely would want to consider hiring a coach. And I enjoy coaching people so much. I love coaching people one-on-one or actually in their businesses. I work with people from a perspective of coaching their employees, all different ways where there is possibly something greater that can be created. So I am a professionally trained coach. I've been in my own business now for 8 years. I'm also a certified Access Consciousness Facilitator, an energy healer, a radio show host, producer, and the owner of this station. How does it get any better than that? I have a number of different programs that I run. One of my favorite programs is called Beyond the BS Business Studies. And yes, BS does stand for bullshit, because I like to get down to the real deal, what's truthfully out there that needs to be changed and what we really will create greater in your business. I also do a class called the Foundation Class with Access Consciousness. And I'm actually a published author, and I have two programs that I really love to do. The one is called Be the Dominatrix of Your Life, really learning to step into and lean into your life at such a huge energetic level that it blows your hair back. Let me just say that. And also I have a program called Divorce with Dignity. A lot of people find that even if they are divorced, that they're still stuck by what is going on in the relationship. So whatever stage you're at in completing a relationship, that program is absolutely something you might want to consider if you'd like to change with dignity for everyone. So tonight, are you willing to speak up? What contribution are you willing to be? Are you willing to speak up in your life, in your business, in your relationships? What about in your job? In all areas of your life? No, you wouldn't want to do that, right? What if you speaking up using kindness and tenacity is the change that you have been looking for? So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I would love to take your questions in the chat room. Just come on over to a2zen.fm, click on the chat room link on the menu bar, and you can jump in and start asking questions. You can certainly listen, or you can call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. So this whole conversation about speaking up, when I'm working with clients and they're stuck in their life, or they're stuck in a relationship or their business, they are often hesitant in saying what's really on their mind. They're really pulling back. And I was speaking with a friend who may be coming on in a little bit to talk about where this occurred in her life. It was through a conversation. A lot of the radio shows pop up through conversations. And it was in her life where she finally had really gotten to that point where she had to say something. In fact, it was keeping her up half the night. Have you ever had that where you really need to say something to somebody and your stomach is just churning and churning and you're holding back? But why do we hold back? Why do we hold back speaking up in our life? Is it because we're worried about what the other person thinks? We're worried about being rejected? We're in fear that we're going to be judged? What is it for you that has you hold back from speaking up? A lot of those motivators that keep us from not speaking up is actually you looking outside of you at other people around you, not actually looking at what is important within you. Someone said to me yesterday, our job is not to, no, she actually said to me this morning, sorry, I have a lot of conversations. She actually said, my job is to do me. My job is to take care of me and work on me, not to be out there working on everybody else. And from that, I really got that it starts with us. It's not that we can't be in businesses where we are actually, in service businesses or product businesses where we're really looking to be a contribution or to provide something to other people. But in order for us to do that at a place where we're happy and we're joyful and we're really coming from that authentic place that can make that change, we have to be clear with it from us first. And so many of us are afraid of speaking up because we're afraid of confrontation. Carol says in the chat room she doesn't know what will come of what she's going to say. Isn't that the truth? We're always so worried about what's the outcome going to be? What's the outcome going to be? We're always living so oftentimes in the future that we're not in the present at what is this choice creating for me right now? When you're holding back speaking what's really true for you, do you ever even check in on your body? Do you check in on your level of stress? Do you check in on your sleeping habits, your eating habits? Do you check in on, the relationships? Where are the relationships at when you're in this turmoil, right? I know that when I've been in that turmoil, I snapped at my kids. Some people talk about, they kick the dog, they snap at the kids, they yell at the husband, they bark at the wife, like all of that, right? When you're not at peace, when you are not solid with who you are and with you speaking what's true for you, it churns inside of your head, it churns inside of your body. And it can impact every single area of your life. So all night long, I'm going to ask you this. Are you willing to speak up? Faith says, well, I am holding back a little bit right now because I don't like people yelling at me. Great awareness, Faith. What if the yelling or the confrontation, what if you could be with that without being in reaction to it? And Carol says she doesn't have a great history of doing it well. Awesome. Thank you I love the vulnerability of you guys in the chat room. Thank you so much. This is exactly what it is that we absolutely are constantly worried about the outcome. And if we've had any of these responses in the past where someone's yelled at us or that it was extremely intense or the confrontation, our brain has this pattern in it that says, wait, do you remember the last time you did this? And it points to that was the outcome. So we are continuously looking to the past in creating the future, right? And when we are doing this, when we're looking to the past and expecting it to be in the future, we keep chewing on it from that aspect of this is what it's going to be like in the future, and then we end up creating it. Do you guys remember when you were a small child and you came into the room and your parents were there and you were totally expecting that your parents were going to be say no to you. So you were like, oh my gosh, and you're worried and you're putting that vibe out in the world. What ended up happening oftentimes was they were totally on to what was going on. And you, because you're not present with the truth around what you're really speaking about, and you're so focused on the outcome, guess where they end up focusing on? They end up focusing on the outcome and the energy that you've given. So when you're not willing to be really present and to drop your barriers totally and to speak what is really going on for you without being in defense, without being in confrontation yourself, without putting up your barriers and being worried that you're going to get hit, when you're really, really being present with someone and you're saying, hey, you know what? This is what's going on for me right now. And this doesn't work for me. And I would really like to see how we could change this. When you're not pushing, when you're not in that defense, there's nothing for someone else to push back against. And do you know that when you drop your barriers, when you drop the expectation of, I got to get ready for a fight before you ever say anything, do you know that that person is able to more clearly hear you? Now, there's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee, friends, that someone's not going to go off, because people go off for all sorts of different reasons. But when you desire to create something different, you've got to show up differently. You've got to be willing, first of all, to show up for yourself. If you want to change your world, it's up to you. And you've got to be able to show up differently. Faith says, I'm willing to try to speak up against the norm and see if I can stay out of reaction about being yelled at. I'll do it during the break and see what happens. Okay, that's awesome, Faith. Thank you. So here's what you want to do. First of all, is you want to completely drop all your expectations and all of the judgment that you have already of you saying something, of you not saying it right, of you saying it wrong, of what they're going to do, of what they're not going to do, on who's going to respond, on who's not going to respond. Just drop all of that. Let it go. And take a deep breath. And remember that when you are willing to speak up, what someone else does or says really is not going to make or break you. Absolutely nothing can make or break you unless you allow it. And here's the amazing piece that I really want to jump into when we get back after the break. Is what I really want to get into is what actually occurs when you do speak up. And you do speak up from the energy of the defense and also from the energy of the willingness to receive without a point of view. Okay? Again, I'd love to have your questions in the chat room. I'd love to have you call in with your comments with what's going on for you. Let's see if we can change that tonight. So you are listening to Inspired Choices with myself, Christine McIver, and tonight, are you willing to speak up? Stay tuned, my friends. We will be right back after this short commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Thanks for sticking around, everyone. So tonight we are talking about, are you willing to speak up? Now, before we jump back into the show, I just want to tell you about a really exciting class that I have coming up. I'm loving this class. This is the second round of doing this class with a group of people. It's a weekly class, 1 hour a week, and we are changing people's businesses. Whether we have people that have not even started their businesses or they've just kind of taken one step in, and we have people that have been in businesses for years. It's called Beyond the BS Business Studies. This is a class that is beginning on Tuesday, November the 15th, and it's an accountability course, but it's also a course where it's going to be giving you personalized direction, targeted professional coaching, and you can tap into the group program that actually contributes to your business as well. And we are going through every part of what works in this world, from email to social media postings to pricing of your products and services, the whole gamut. There's so many things that we're giving that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it all in 6 months. That's how bountiful it is. So I would love to connect with you. If you have any questions, come on over and let's start changing your reality with business so you could actually have a lot of fun. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story with business in a bit. But that is starting Tuesday, November the 15th. You can connect with me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca or check it out on inspiredchoices.ca for all the details. Okay, so before we went for break, we were talking about speaking up and actually what that's, how we're living in the past in creating the expectation of the outcome. And what I really want to talk about now is what actually gets created when we do speak up, the negatives and the positives. And I have a wonderful friend who is here with me tonight. She's going to speak with me about a recent experience with her speaking up. So, Carol, are you there on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you for being vulnerable, for sharing. So why don't you tell all of our listeners what has actually been up in your world of late?
Sure. I'll kind of try to nutshell it. basically one of my clients, one of the contracts that I work on, the owner of the company has kind of just disconnected from the company. So myself and the rest of the team were like pushing, keep it together and all that stuff. Like we've become a really strong team because of that. And then last night, and probably a few times before that, I laid awake at night going, this has got to stop. This isn't working. There's no way that we should be trying harder than this person to make this prosperous.
Right.
So of course I was like, okay, I gotta say something. Like I can't keep on like this. I'm losing sleep. Nobody does well. Nobody fares well when I lose sleep. So I had to speak up.
So why do you believe you were losing sleep?
Because I would roll over all of the I had, oh gosh, it had to be at least 100 full conversations, like exactly how it was going to play out, what I would say, what he would say in response, and blah 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 blah. And well, if I word it this way, and it could go over here, but it all came down to the exact same like one or two lines, and those were the few things that were really, really keeping me up.
So how much were you trying to control the outcome of that conversation by having it 17,000 times?
I definitely wanted the conversation to be different this time. We've had a similar conversation. I had toned it down and I made it kind of nicer before, and I'm like, well, that didn't work.
Right, because were you truly being you when you were turning it down?
I was. I was still being me. It's not like I was trying to be anybody else in that. I was also, though, trying to soften the blow for him.
Right. But my point is not that you weren't being Carol. My point is that you had it was much more, and I'm just going to use this word, whether this is it or not, it was more intense than you were delivering it. Because you were more worried about him than you. And that's what I mean by saying you weren't really being you in that moment. Because if you were really being you, you wouldn't have sugarcoated it. You wouldn't have tried not to deliver it. Right? So it's not I love this. I love when Carol does that. So it's not don't deliver it. It's not don't deliver it without barriers up, but don't sugarcoat it either. Because in the sugarcoating it, that's oftentimes where we're walking on eggshells. And you know what? Many, many times when we're walking on the eggshells, we can't actually get to the place of this deep conversation, whatever it is, because it's usually a deep conversation when we're not willing to speak up. We can't get to that deep conversation because we're not actually in it. We're like on the surface of it. And if that's been something for you, Carol, or any of the listeners, you will find that oftentimes you're going to have that conversation again. Hence, you had to have it again.
And again. And again.
Okay. So you were in a lot of times, like I just want to use this as a marker. A lot of the times we are in the past of what we created, and that's what's having us hesitate to speak our truth. And what I really want to get people to look at is what is the cost for me and the other person if I'm not truly being me? What is the cost? You know, if we look at the U.S. election, a lot of people did not use their voice yesterday. A lot of them. And a lot of them are saying, you know what? This has cost our country. Now, it's a point of view. We can't foretell the future. And maybe, you know, that election will create even greater in our world. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is if you're not speaking up, you cannot create something, right? If you're holding back the truth, you can't create it. Okay, so let's move forward. So you you had the conversation yesterday or whatever day it was, and what was created?
Yeah, it was this morning.
This time. Oh, this morning.
For now, the exact same kind of response that I've had the other times. Like, the response has been the same. There's like, stuff gets done, and yes, you're right, and here I am, and all of that. And then like 3 hours later, crickets.
So did you have an expectation of what you wanted to have come out of that conversation?
I don't think I had an expectation of it really being any different.
Okay.
But at least it would have been off my chest.
Right.
I'm wrong. I'm lying. My expectation was that it would go back to the same way it always has.
Okay.
So I kind of created that, didn't I?
Well, you maybe added to it. I mean, you co-created it, right? Whether you were 5% in or 50% in doesn't matter. But here's the thing, is that if we have any kind of an expectation in it, we can get hooked by it. We can get hurt by it. It's not that we shouldn't have desires, okay? But when we go in with an expectation, it's kind of like, imagine you are standing there with your hands on your hips, and you're asking your mom, like, can I have a cookie? Like, mom, right? You've got this expectation. So when we have any kind of that energy in there, we're going to be disappointed. But if you really get to the place of, this is important for me to speak this, this is important for me to have this conversation, you start to change it for you. So what was your experience of you after you really spoke up this morning?
Well, even before, the difference in me even before that conversation was today I was willing to walk away.
Okay.
So that's a huge difference.
Right.
Because I've really come to really like this business and the team and everything. But after the conversation, I felt much more at ease. I just got back to business, back to doing my thing, and I just handled stuff like I normally do. I don't really think that there was anything really different. Except my peace of mind.
Right. And here's the thing, Carol. When we start to take away that anxiety, whether that anxiety shows up as anger, frustration, sadness, any level of negative energy, when we get rid of that, that's when we get to that place of peace, but that's also when we can get to the place of clarity. So when you were able to really speak it, really speak it, you can start seeing what's true for you. So when we are willing to speak our truth, do you know whether the other person changes or not, we get more information about ourselves. We truly, if you were ever to ask the question, what do I truly desire? Show me, universe, what I desire. If you ever were to ask those questions, as you begin to speak what's true for you, it starts to unfold. It starts to unfold in your choices. Because sometimes we can't get to that place because it's buried under a lot of other, noise. And when you are delivering this conversation with anyone, even if you're having a conversation with yourself, when you're willing to have that conversation without intensity as in, wanting to put your hands around somebody's throat, but the urgency of change that you're desiring, when you're willing to do that, you get to know you and you get to create your life even greater. But anyone that is sitting back and they're holding their tongue, worried about what other people are going to do, aren't going to do, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, we create this anxiety in our life and in our bodies, and we don't get to that place of truly receiving what we desire, and then following that, what we can do to create it. Because now that you have the clarity around this whole situation, Carol, the universe is going to be able to not only show up and give you more possibilities, but you're now going to be able to see it and receive it.
Yeah, totally.
Right? It's like you can come out of that tunnel vision.
True. So I have a question, but I don't know if you want it now or later.
Well, let's go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue, massaging the hell out of Carol. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask or comment or call in, please join us in the chat room,
or if you'd like to call in and save me.
Save Carol. Yes, I have her by the throat. Okay, everyone, you're listening to Inspired Choices tonight. Are you willing to speak up? Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for sticking around. Tonight we are having a hot conversation talking about, are you willing to speak up? How many of you have decided that actually using your voice in the world or in your life has created too much havoc, so you need to be quiet? How many of you have decided that you just need to put your head down and just plow through it and hope to God that things get better? Well, guess what, my friends? You did not come here to quietly move through life. You actually came here to make a difference. And do you know what I know? I know that each and every person on this beautiful earth has awarenesses different than other people. I know that I've sat in a room with people anywhere from the age of 92 to 3. And all of those people have had a different contribution than I have had. And I am so grateful that when people open their mouths and they contribute, that they actually change my world. You know, you don't have to have a university education. You don't have to have been alive for 60 years to have awareness, to know something. And my invitation to you is, would you be willing to step in to your knowing, and would you be willing to contribute with your voice? You do not have to be a bulldozer to contribute. You do not have to hurt people in the process, including you, in speaking your voice. So before we went for a break, we were talking with Carol, and Carol has another follow-up question to our conversation. Carol, can you ask that question on the air?
Sure. So the question was, since I've already expressed how wonderful I am at replaying every possible scenario, how do you make the switch from running all the scenarios through my head at night and being up all night with it to being barriers down right before or as I move into that conversation and being open to anything and not having those hours of agony beforehand?
Okay.
You know, so just a nice light question for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Carol. So here's what I absolutely know. That if doing that has ever created something positive for you on the other end of it, keep doing it. Has it?
I hate you. Of course not. Not ever, not even once, not even half a time. Thank you for that.
Oh my God, that was the best. I love you so much. Okay, so now I can't even get my composure. My body just wants to keep laughing. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. You've got to be willing to be straight up with yourself and say, you know what? This is not working for me. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change it. So first of all, you've got to acknowledge, hey, you know what? This shit doesn't work. This shit doesn't work. Okay, that's number one, Carol. Number two is you've got to say, okay, whatever it takes, I'm changing this. And I'm telling you, you have 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those thoughts are the exact same thought you had yesterday. So it's normal, Carol. It's so normal, everyone, to have these thoughts continue to run around in your head. So you've got to be tenacious with it. You've got to really look at it and go, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm going to speak my truth, and truthfully, nothing can hurt me. Nothing is going to destroy me. I'm not going to be an ass. I'm not going to yell at this person or be angry with this person, or I'm not going to push my agenda, which would create more crazy, right? I'm going to speak what's true for me. So you've got to get clear about what is your target and what's really important for you to create greater in your life in speaking. When you get to that space, and when you've taken care of those two things, and when you hear your brain continue to go in circles, just go, stop it. I actually speak to my brain and go, no, we're not doing that. Stop. This is not working. And truthfully, at the beginning sometimes, Carol, I've had to give my brain a job. Like I either will get up and read, or I'll watch a movie that will completely distract my brain, right? Don't do things like trying to meditate, going for a quiet walk. Oftentimes when you are in quiet, when your brain is in that get her done mode, it'll get louder. So actually giving your brain something to do can distract it. And then you know what's going to happen is the next time you come to this juncture, it's going to be less. So it's not a switch that you can flip, all right? It's just not going to be. It's something that if you've been trained yourself to do this conversation review continuously, you're going to have to come out of it, right? It's kind of like learning any new pattern. You've got to reprogram your brain to really get to the place of, this is not working for me. I'm choosing to do whatever it takes to change it, and nothing on the other side of this conversation is going to hurt me. What's coming
I think
up for you now?
that was the major difference in the conversation today. I was absolutely 100% certain that no matter what came of it, I was going to be okay.
Awesome.
Or better, right?
Yeah, or better. Like, hey, you know what? It could actually be better than you've ever imagined. And would you be willing to receive that? Like, would you honestly be willing to, like, get out of the trauma and drama of this is going to blow up and really have that conversation? Hey, I've had many of these conversations. I often call them come to Jesus meetings, right? I've had to have these conversations, and right before them I'll be like, okay, barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. Drop your barriers. Take a deep breath and be kind. Be kind to you, Christine, and be kind to the other person as you have that challenging conversation. Don't do push energy, but stand in what is really true for you so that no matter what they choose, you're okay with you. And when you're willing to speak up, when you're willing to even say, you know what, I've raised my prices. I actually have been investing in myself a lot, and I'm actually putting my prices up, 25%, 50%. And being willing to have them say, well, that's not right. Well, now I can't afford to go to you. And being really willing to receive whatever, knowing the universe has got your back, and guess what? You can always make another choice. When you're in that space, nothing can truly hurt you. But you've got to keep asking yourself, everybody, what are you creating when you are not using your voice to speak up? Are you in a job where someone is mistreating you? Are you in a job where colleagues are bullying you to some degree? What is that creating? You don't have to be like someone who is like squealing on everybody. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be this loud, obnoxious squealer. But what is that creating in your life? And is that job actually contributing to you? Truthfully, would you be willing to look for something else that contributes to you greater? Is working with that client contributing to you? Have you bought into you have to take shit from clients because they pay your bills? Do you really think that the universe wouldn't contribute to you having clients that would be kind to you? I've had those clients before, and I bought into the lie that I couldn't actually fire them because of the money. And you know what? That's bull crap. I remember the first time I fired a client. It was pretty friggin' empowering. I'm like, no, this is not working for me. I was spending more energy on working with that client and spending more energy on trying to, not be angry, on trying to fix it than I was on creating something even greater. And I'm telling you, whatever you're willing to let go of something that is really creating that much anxiety in your life, oh my gosh, it's like the heavens open up with possibilities. Please know that the universe absolutely has your back. But my big question is, if you keep creating the same crap, you've got to ask yourself, do I have my own back? In everything. You might have your back in certain areas, but maybe you are actually not willing to look at these places where you keep tripping yourself up. And there's no need to go in judgment of it. But if you aren't willing to look at it, how can you possibly change it, my friends? Is there some area of your life where you're not willing to speak up, even if it is to you? What is that creating? And do you know that when you use your voice, when you actually speak up and say, you know what, your service for me is not working for me. Maybe your service is your bank, right? Maybe your service is, the dry cleaners you go to. Do you choose some of these different services in your life because you always have? I had a very challenging conversation that I had really looked at quite a bit before I had it just a little while ago. And it was actually, you guys are going to laugh, with my hairdresser. I had tried to broach the subject a number of times, and it didn't change around what I wanted. There was a lot of points of view being projected at me. And I really needed to step back, and I needed to look at it. And I really had to ask myself, okay, look, what am I doing here? This is, I'm paying for this service. So what am I doing? And I know you guys, it may sound funny, but this is what goes on in all of our lives. And this is just one example. And when I really got clear with me about what was important to me, what I desired, and I was willing to have it without making that other person wrong and without being at the effect of any choice that they chose, I was able to have that conversation with ease. And the outcome changed to even greater than I possibly could have imagined. So are you willing to have these conversations first with yourself, not all night long though, Carol, but first with yourself and then with the other person? Like, I mean, if you're on social media, you know, we have conversations on social media all the time, especially on Facebook and Twitter. Are you willing to have the conversations anywhere, online or in person, without an expectation and without projecting at someone else's being right or wrong, including you? You can have a preference around what you like. You can actually have a preference without making somebody else wrong. Okay, so we're going to go for our last break of the night. When we get back, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for sticking around tonight, and we will be back right after the commercial break. Are you willing to speak up? Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hello again, everyone. So tonight we're talking about, are you willing to speak up? You know, it was several years ago that I was willing to speak up and start bringing my thoughts and my voice to the world. And I became a radio show host. And I'm wondering who out there is also got some things that they would like to share. If you'd like to learn about becoming a radio show host, whether you've ever done it or not, please get in touch with me, Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. I am the host, producer, and the owner of the station, and I actually professionally train each and every one of our hosts so that they are totally comfortable in bringing their voice to the world. And huge contribution, amazing, amazing hosts on here. Check out the replays. I'm telling you, it is a university online for free. These people are phenomenal. I absolutely adore them. And, a lot of the conversations changed a lot of things for me as well. Katrina says, do it. It's so fun. Yeah, I love you have a show on there, Katrina. Okay, so what I'd like to just kind of wrap up with is really speaking up. And when you are speaking up in the world, you create your world greater. When you are creating your world greater, you are contributing to the world. We have enough miserable, bitchy, angry, frustrated, violent people creating insanity in the world. And how do we change that? You can't change someone else, but your contribution in what you're doing in the world can change it, because your voice starts to be heard. And when you are willing to step up with your voice, people start to hear it. And you know what? The people that are looking to hear what you have to say, they can't find you if you're not willing to speak up. You cannot change other people's worlds if you're not willing to be heard, if you're not willing to be seen, if you're not willing to actually speak what's true for you. And you know what? Even if all you do is you say to yourself, I did it, I spoke up. If that is all that you do, and I'll bet you do way more than that. You may not know about it, but I bet you do. Even if that's all that you do, I'm telling you, you have changed your world. Because as you are willing to use your voice, as you are willing to be vulnerable with you change. You change for the future. And the next time that something comes up, it's easier. It's just that much easier. It's not going to be bells and whistles all the time, but it's going to slowly begin to change. But it can't change until you are willing. So Faith says, when you say to give your brain a job, could you give an example? Seriously, when your brain is going and you need to give it a job, give it something that is simple and easy. So, that's why a lot of people play like video games, or they play, like even solitaire, or read a book, or, clean something, or organize something, do the dishes. Exactly. Just get your brain busy on organizing, doing something. Just get it into the doing, so it actually has to keep referencing something. And then when you're doing that, when you're getting it to reference something, then you will not be thinking about the conversation in your head. So get it busy. It doesn't take long, actually, to give your brain a job, and it'll come off of, chewing on that one thing. So, Carol says she was looking for bells and whistles with her conversation. Sometimes you're not going to get bells and whistles. Sometimes it's just going to be just something very, very light. And you know what? A lot of people do social media from the expectation of bells and whistles. And I'm telling you, friends, you're going to disappoint yourself. So listen, if you're looking for an amazing business class, come on over, check it out with me. I would love to have you join in. And if you're looking to take the foundation course with Access Consciousness, I've got that coming up in Toronto, November the 24th. Have an amazing week, everyone. And remember, you can always make another choice. See you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.